Moving on to step number 11 here, we're going to be doing the Waza setup. So similarly, what we did in step number 9 here, we added Splunk to the allow list on the security onion. We added it to an agent so that it is able to access it. And we're going to be doing something similar for DC1 and PC1, just a little bit different. So what we're going to do is open up Security Onion, make sure the other two are also open as well, because we're going to be registering and authenticating the Waza agents on the other ones. So first things first, we are going to do sudo so allow. This is going to allow us to choose for the IP or range and kind of what we're going to do for those IPs here. But this time we're going to do Waza agent, and this is going to be opening up a listening port on 1514. So that's all you have to do. You just have to select W. You can then just hit enter and it should work perfectly fine. And then we can just double check that the port is indeed listening here. So go ahead and do that command sudo netstat -tulnp, and then you're going to do just a straight line down, grep 1514, and it should show up TCP 1514 listening. So it is working, and that's what we wanted. So we're going to do, we're going to do sudo so allow again. And this time we are going to do R. That's what we're going to do to register the agent. And then here's what we're going to do is it's going to open up that. So this should also open up the 1515 one here. So that one's also perfectly fine as well. And next we're going to do sudo so Waza agent manage. So this is going to open up a new little menu here. And what we're going to want to do is we're going to click A to add an agent. And we're going to provide a name for it, so DC1, and then IP address 192.168.50.101. And then we want to confirm adding it. Yes, we do. And same thing again, we're going to want to add another agent. This time it's going to be PC1 with the IP address 192.168.50.11. Confirm, yes. And so then we go ahead and see all of them with L. And as you can see here, those are the agents added, and it's 002, 003. So, and then we want to extract a key for the agent. So we're going to go E, and then what we're going to want to do, we got to provide the ID, so 002. And that's the key there. And then we're going to do the same thing for 003. Now what you're going to want is you're going to want to copy and paste these on over to the corresponding one. So 002 would be up here for the Windows server, and 003 would be for this one here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll catch back up where we are going to register and authenticate the Waza agents. Alrighty, and once we've moved over both of the keys, 002 or DC1's registry key and 003 or PC1's registry key, on over, I just put them in a notepad here, so you can go ahead and do the exact same thing, but go ahead and get them on over, because we're going to be using these to register them here in a second, and then head on over via the directions to waza.com. So that's what I did. I pulled it up on both of these here. This one's already ready to go, but over here, get into Waza, install Waza, scroll down, Windows, and then what we're going to do is we are going to change it to 3.13. This is the latest one because according to the notes, older versions of Security Onion do not support Waza 4.x versions, so confirm with Security Onion. The version that I'm using is the 2.3.300 version. The latest version as of this recording is 2.4. The 2.4 version of Security Onion no longer supports Waza agents or Waza in general. They actually used an Elastic agent, so I'm not sure if the functionality is the same there. I know it's just kind of a replacement as they're kind of shifting towards a more comprehensive solution there rather than kind of having a hodgepodge of all of these things like we're doing for this one. But we'll go ahead and just install this. So I'm going to install these for both of them, and then I'll be right back. Alright, so I got ahead myself and I actually started it on this one, but go ahead and just click the Windows installer here. Once you get to the 3.3, it's going to say that this doesn't apply to it, but it's very easy. Just do the Windows installer. It will install, and then we'll just head on over to downloads. Open it up. I accept. It's going to ask for this, and what we're going to do is just provide the admin credentials. And then we're going to click Run Agent Configuration Interface. And again, we're going to have to do it again. All right, and then we are going to have to add the IP address here. So it's going to be, 192.168.110. And the authentication key is what we copied on over for both of them. So this one is MDAZ to the start and OTA equal sign at the end. So we can double check that. OTA at the end equal sign MDAZ. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just save it. So adding key for it. Okay. Auth key and IP saved. Do refresh and see it's perfectly fine. And we do the same thing here. I already got ahead of myself once again, and I already added the key there. So we added it for it, and we can just double check. MDAY at the beginning, MDAY, and NJBI or NJBJ there. So save, refresh, and it looks perfectly fine here. Now we just got to make sure that it's running. So what we're going to do is we're just going to open up Task Manager here, and we're going to go down to Services. And we're going to scroll until we see it, OSEC CVC. So it looks like it is running. If it is not running, go ahead and just open this up and do net start waza. Go ahead and run the command prompt in administrator mode, and we're just going to double check that this one is also running here. No, we don't want to see that. Okay, here we go. Services, scroll down. And there you go. You can see it's also running as well. So it looks like we're done, and we can move on to the next step. Moving on to step number 12 here, security onion pipe to Splunk. This one, as you can kind of see, is a little bit longer than any of the other ones, and I run into many issues with this one. I'm sure there's probably a better way of doing this than just manually creating a lot of these files and doing things with Docker and all sorts of things with what we're going to be doing here. It's a little bit more complicated than any of the other ones that we've done here, but we're going to take it one step at a time. So if we run into any issues, I'll be sure to kind of point that out, and I'll find a solution as we're going through these. So without further ado, we're going to get started. First things first, we are going to need to set up the Splunk HEC. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into Splunk Enterprise here. We're going to go into Settings, and then we're going to go Add Data or New Data here. And then we'll do Monitor. And then HTTP Event Collector. And then we're just going to name it whatever we want to do. So we're going to name it Sec Onion Collector. There we go. These are all optional. Again, output group is also optional. So we're just going to click Next. And then source type, we can go ahead and just keep automatic. And scroll down. And we can add it to the Windows Event 1. Oh, looks like it's flagging here. Okay, there we go. So that's the one we're gonna send it to, and then we're gonna just review. If it wants to work. It's being a little slow. So we'll give it a moment here. I'll be right back once it does. Oh, there we go. All right, now it's going to allow us to view. So input token, SOCONION collector, Windows event, automatic search. And then we just go ahead and click submit. So there you go. Token has been created successfully there. You can start searching, but nothing's going to actually pop up in here, which is totally fine. We'll eventually have something start pop up in here, but now we're going to go ahead and set up FileBeat on Security Onion. And as you can see here, the beats essentially just send it to logstash, and then logstash is going to parse, filter, and transform it, and then it's going to send it to security or Splunk here, where it's going to look a little bit more nice and neat rather than just raw data. So I'm going to go ahead and pivot on over to Security Onion here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to follow the steps here. Okay, so this is me from the future. As you can see here, time, date is a little bit different. We were running into some issues here, but I did find the issue. I'm not going to go too into it, but the version that we're going to be installing is actually going to be an older version here. And it's not going to be the 9.01 actually. It is going to be the 8.18.21, and that one's from an older version of FileBeat where it doesn't have the newer features. The newer features deprecated the crucial input feature that we had in our file, and I didn't really want to spend too much time adjusting that. So we're going to go through the commands here real quick, just installing the old version of it here. You can install the new one, but you'll have to tweak the settings there within what we're about to set up here. That's 12 dots. Double check here. 8.18. .2 x86 _ 64 .rpm. So I'll go ahead and let that run, and I'll be right back once that's done. Okay, and it looks like it's done now, so we're just going to follow the steps. Once again here, sudo rpm I FileBeat. There we go. And this may take a moment as well, so I'll be right back once that one is done as well. All right, it appears like it is done here, so we are going to do sudo system control start FileBeat just to see if this will work here, and we'll do status, and it looks like it is running. Okay, fantastic. And then we're going to do sudo system control enable FileBeat just so that it can be booted up properly here. All right, and then we are going to actually change the file system here, or sorry, the YAML file here. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to stop that. Okay, it stopped, because now we got to actually update the configuration file here. So where do you need to go? You need to go cd // FileBeat. And since you're in here, you can already see that we do have a existing FileBeat YAML folder here, which has a lot of things already in it, but we aren't going to do anything with that. In fact, we are going to actually move that FileBeat YAML folder to the, we're just going to rename it to OG FileBeat YAML. And as you can see, there's a new one there, which has everything in it. I have a file already created from the previous time that I was doing this. So I'm going to go ahead and move that back on over here. It is in my home admin. It may have been 2 actually. And I'm going to move it over to the etc. file beat location here. We're going to name it file beat YAML. Okay, so there's not a 2. It's just that. There we go. And you can take a look at it. I'm going to actually do this. That's the permissions I have on it. So later in the video, you'll see me switching around the permissions. So you can go ahead and do that as well there. But I am going to show the file here. So here it is. Make sure everything is looking good. I was having a little issues later on for you earlier, for me, with the typos with this. So make sure there's no typos. Make sure everything is looking good here. But we're going to move on to the next part of the video, and hopefully this works. Oh, and one last thing here. Make sure to go ahead and just start it back up. That way, everything can work perfectly fine. There we go. All right, so should be good. Next part of the video involves creating a shell script. And so then we're going to create this script, and then we're going to run it. So I'll be right back once it's created, and then we can run it together. All right, and before we actually do the configuration here, I just wanted to point out that I did change the permissions here for the filebeat.yaml and the created file that I have here. So for the filebeat.yaml, go ahead and just change it via change mod 744 filebeat.yaml, just so that there's read permissions for anyone else there, as it may be, needed to be read. But go ahead and do log-run.sh as a new file within the home admin one. So you can get there by just doing cd // home admin. And then when you get there, yours is just going to have the file beat and the security onion there. And then go ahead and just add that one by doing the touch command. Yours isn't going to show up as green until you do the same change mod 744 logs-run.sh. So go ahead and do that. And then we can go ahead and get into it. I'm going to go ahead and do the configuration, and then I'll be right back so that we can run the script together. All right, and I've completed the configuration here. This is what it should look like. So go ahead and write it, and then we will call it here. That's what it should look like. And now we will run the script by doing this. Logs-run. All right, now it looks like it has completed running. So now what we're going to do is we're going to install logs- here. That'll take a moment, so I'll be back once that is complete as well. And at some point during the install, it may ask you if you want to download this. So go ahead and just do Y. And I'll be back after that's completed as well. All right, and it looks like it's completed. So now we're going to start and enable log-stash on boot, sudo system control start log-stash. There we go, sudo system control enable log-stash. There we go. Now that looks good. We can move on to the next step here. Next, what we're going to do is we are going to create a Docker container with a custom Docker image of logstash with a Splunk HEC plugin added. So that's what we're going to do is we are going to do docker pull docker.elastic logstash 8.18.2. And I'll give that a moment to run here, and I'll be right back. All right, so I'm back. It looks like it's finally finished. I did run into an issue there where the time clock for the Security Onion virtual machine was off in UTC time. Make sure that is set up properly. At the time that I was doing it, it was basically the next day here, 06 UTC time, and then I synced it with the hardware clock. So go ahead and do that same thing if yours isn't set. You can just look up the UTC time via Google to determine that, and then just do these commands here. And then you should be able to do this, because I was running into a certificate error, and that certificate error was stemming from the misalignment with the time there. Next, we're going to create a logstash Docker directory here. So make directory logstash Docker. As you can see there, we're going to go into it now, and then we're going to do touch Docker file. And then you can see Docker file, and then we are just going to ensure that that can be read there. So, yep, and that looks perfectly fine. There we go. So now we are going to edit it here. So that looks good. We are going to write that, and then we can call that, and there we go. So now that step is done, we can move on to the next one here. And the next step here is going to be doing a docker build -t custom logstash latest period. So we'll go ahead and let that run here, and I'll be right back. Alright, next, after that command is completed, we are going to move on to the next step here. So it's going to be creating a config folder. So right now we have the Docker file. What we're going to do is do make directory config, and now it's there. We can move into it, and since there's nothing in here, we can go ahead and do vim logstash yaml, and that should be it. Let me just find my bearings here. Okay, logstash yaml. There we go, and then we're going to do input xpack monitoring enabled. Goodness, can't spell right now. And there we go, and we will call it as well xpack monitoring enabled false. There we go. So now we can move on to the next step here. And the next step is going to be creating a logstash conf file in the root logstash pipeline. So I don't even believe that exists right now. Let's go back here. No, it's just the Docker one. So make directory pipeline. There we go. CD pipeline. Nothing in here. Logstash.conf. And then I am going to follow these directions here. So just to open this up, and we're going to do this, and so I'll be back once I've completed that. Alright, so it did occur to me while I was doing this, the HEC token is different for any HEC that you do create here. So mine is different from the one that is actually put into the logstash.conf here. So I'm going to go ahead and move this on over into this, but we also do, and we should create a different index here so that we can actually input it in. So, and I'm just going to do the same one that I did before, seconion underscore HEC. We're going to enable retention 2 days, reduction 2 days. There we go. And so now we can come back here, go data inputs, HEC. That's how I got here. And then we can edit that instead of one event. We're going to remove it, and we're going to go seconion. There we go. And now it's seconion. So I'm going to move this over, go ahead and edit that, and then we can continue with this. Alright, so I completed it with its own HEC token here. As you can see, it lines up properly there. We can go ahead and just double check 03C, 1B, 6B6, -B840-47AE, -A84B, -DE, 8B68519D3E, and it's in the index seconion underscore HEC. So we should be good here. Everything looks perfectly fine. We're just going to move that extra space, and then we are going to pull that, and look at that. Now we can go ahead and move on to the next step here. Now the next step is going to be running this really long command here just as one thing. So I'm going to go ahead and run this real quick. Well, I'll type it out, and then before I enter it, we'll come back and we'll do it together. And before I continue, I actually wanted to clean up one thing here. I actually renamed the config directory, which was capital with a C. I just renamed it to lowercase config. So go ahead and do that real quick, because we will be referencing this directory and the file associated with it inside of it, within the next command. So go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to type out this command. You should too, and then we can run this together. All right, so I'm back. I went ahead and entered the command there. So docker run -d. Everything basically that's inside of this here. And this command just creates a Docker container titled logstash and boots on start unless stopped. It creates a logstash conf file in the user share logstash pipeline within the container to use the conf file that we created, and uses the YAML file to disable license/reader checker, and it only works in YAML. So it uses port 5044 and the custom logstash image we created earlier. The final command just forces the use of the logstash conf file. So everything is looking good on that front. Alright, so we did run into an issue. A few things I did want to point out here, and unfortunately my GitHub is kind of messing up at the same time, but the port number was wrong from what you might have entered. The port number should be 8088. That is the one for the HEC. And so I ended up changing the port. I also deleted the old HEC and created a new one called seconion_HEC, just to align with what we had in the notes there. So the token value is going to be different. I ended up redoing the token value as well here, and as you can see, it shows enabled now. How did I get it enabled? It was disabled before. I clicked on global settings, I clicked enabled, and as you can see here, that's the port number. I could have just changed the port number there, but I want to enable this just to show you guys. So enabled, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and run that lengthy, if it will keep going. Not so sure. Here we go. I'm going to run this command once again, and it looks like that is already in use. Okay, so I may have gotten it to work here. Just do doc remove after forceful logstash, which is the name. So we'll go ahead and try this again. So now it looks like it's giving us a new ID for the logstash, or the Docker here. So we'll run this, and yep, that is the new one right there. So we know that works. And now just to recap, created a new HEC name, had a new token, had to update the logstash conf file in the pipeline here, and with the token and the port number updated along with this enabled, we can now move on to check to see if it will start collecting stuff here on this. So I'm going to give it just a moment just for it to kind of update and maybe start collecting some events from this Windows server here. So I'll be back once that's started, or if I run into further issues, I'll go ahead and troubleshoot that. And I am just seeing this now. It does look like we might have already hit the daily limit here, which may refresh here another hour or so, but I'll pick this up a different time, and we can kind of see, because it looks like this is just stopped. We have no logs for today, as you can see, even though we have some for all the time, or all time for all of them yesterday. We have 19,000 events, so that's likely hitting our 500 megabyte limit here. And I just double checked that we can do a test.net connection to the Ubuntu desktop for port 8088. Just to make sure that that port is open and available. Alright, and after many hours of troubleshooting here, it looks like we finally have a fix. Go ahead and just double check the configuration files, both the filebeat.yaml file as well as the logstash.conf file, to ensure that there is no misconfigurations or misspellings of anything, because I did run into that issue at some point. I did end up fixing it. I did not record it, but the main issue that I was running into was that my version was the to new. So I went ahead and re-recorded it. You probably won't see it, but I did install the 9.0.0 file beat version rather than the older 8.18.2 version. I don't know why I had it noted that way, but you should be good if you installed the 8.18.2 one, because we are now getting events here. So we should be good, and now we can move on to the next steps here. Moving on to step number 14 here, we're going to be doing DNS records. We did end up skipping step 13 here, as it is an optional step. It's optional mainly because it's just a vulnerability scanner. It doesn't have too much to do with what we're actually trying to accomplish here, but you can go ahead and utilize it if you'd like, and get it set up here. Here's the steps for it. And this will help you determine any kind of vulnerabilities that are on the Windows computers, and you might be able to, kind of exploit them and see the kind of effects of those exploits on Splunk, since we already have that set up. But we're not going to be doing that. We're just going to be focusing on the next few steps here, and this one is going to be DNS records. So we're going to be setting up an A and an MX record. This is going to help us for future steps, mainly related to the mail exchange servers. So we're going to go ahead and set that up real quick. I'm going to put that to the side, and in the DC one, or Windows Server 2022, we're going to go ahead and go into Tools, DNS. We're going to expand forward lookup zones, click into HomeLab local. You can already see what we have there. We're going to right click, new host, name of the host. We're going to name it mail. And as you can see, that's appended up to the front of that. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to type in the address here, 192.168.50.101. Again, if you do not know the IP that you had set for this, you can go IP config, and you can see 192.168.50.101. And we're going to do create associated pointer record. We're going to add host. We're going to get a warning here saying that it can't be found because it's not in the reverse lookup zone. We're not setting that up. You can click done. As you can see, it's added here. You can go ahead and go back to the properties. It's still here. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add an MX or mail exchange record here. So we're going to go right click homelab.local, new mail exchanger. We're going to leave this one blank. We're not going to touch this. You can't even touch it. We're going to go down to fully qualified domain name, and we're going to type in mail.homelab.local. We're going to leave the mail server priority the same. We're going to click OK, and as you can see, this is now on here as well. And then we're just going to verify if this has actually worked by going back into command prompt here, typing in ms lookup, and then we can go ahead and go set type equals mx and homelab.local. And as you can see, what we set up, mx preference, mail exchanger, domain, IP address for it. You can also do this as well if you would like, and it will give you the same server and the name there. So it looks like it's good to go, and now we can move on to the next step. Moving on, the next step here is going to be step 15, the HMail server configuration here. So we're going to be setting up a mail exchange server. So without further ado, we're going to get to it. Go ahead and click on that hyperlink there, the install HMail server right here. This will give you what you can go ahead and copy in there. We're going to go back, and we'll just follow these steps here. So go ahead, get to that link, download the latest version. I'm going to go ahead and click on it, and it will start. I'm going to go ahead and open it up, and we'll be welcomed into the installer here. We're just going to go ahead and click next. We're going to accept the agreement. We're going to click next. We're just going to leave that default, leave that default, leave that default, and leave that default as well. And then we're going to just set up a password here. So go ahead and do one that you're going to remember. And then we go ahead and install it. Now, you might need that as well. Go ahead and attempt to install this .NET Framework 2.0. And I'll be right back once that's completed. Okay, it does look like it has had an issue installing that. So what we can do is we can go ahead and actually fix that real quick here. So we're going to cancel. We're going to come out of this. I'm going to minimize that. We're going to get back into this server manager. Click manage, add roles and features. Next, role, features. Just gotta keep going down. Features, .NET. Let's see here. We're looking for .NET 3.5. And we select that. There we go. And then we can next. And then we can do restart destination server if required. So we can go ahead and put yes and install. And I will be back once that is done. Alright, and it does look like that it is completed here. You'll see feature installation. The bar looks complete. Installation succeeded. Go and click close. You can see this. Looks like it's done. Now we can go back to the installer. Click install. If it gives you this prompt again, .NET Framework 2.0. We just added that, so we should be good. And we'll go ahead and completely X out of this here. So we'll exit out of it. Come back. Go to our downloads real quick. And then we'll open this back up here. And we'll follow the same steps. Next, accept, skip, 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 skip. Back to the password, set something that you'll remember here. And give it an install. And it shouldn't ask you this time around here because we do have it installed and it should detect it. So I'll be back once this is done. It may take a moment or so, but it shouldn't take too long. Alright, and now it's complete. So you'll get this. Make sure that that's checked because we do want to run it. And now that it is opened up here, I'm just going to pull this up. Here we go. We're going to connect to it. So we're going to select, we're going to connect. We're going to enter the password that we had just set up. And now we are in. So we're going to go ahead and add a domain. Add the domain. We're going to go mail.homelab.local. Click save. That should be good. And then we're going to right click accounts. Add a D account. Homelab.local. Bill. Click OK. And now we can see it, and that's the email address that he's going to get. So now we have that completed. We should be good to go, and now we can move on to the next step.